I'm so glad you have this. They're steaming.
Mm-hmm. It'd be real hot and
Mm-hmm.
steamy and smelly. Smell like sulfur. That was named like an oven. Remember they had different names?
Mm-hmm.
This was almost scary
Uh-huh.
because you walked out on these planks out in the middle of these places.
Yeah.
And there have been cases of people falling off of these areas into the pools of hot water and being cooked, being
Yeah.
killed. Remember the guy's dog jumped in?
Uh-huh.
And the man jumped in after his dog and they were both killed.
Uh-huh.
So with young
It
kids,
is almost scary.
who is that holding your hand there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Meg holding your hand, do you think?
I think it is. Don't you?
I think it's Meg holding your hand right there. But it's a little bit frightening to be out on that because you don't know if you fall in or not.
Yeah.
Those pools of water were very hot, very high temperature. See, they were out on it.
Uh-huh. Isn't that something?
Uh-huh. The water is pretty, you know. The color looks like the Bahamas.
My
There's
goodness.
Yellowstone Falls.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that's not Yellowstone Falls because that's not big enough. That's that place I think where we saw a boulder balanced, you know.
Look at that.
This is over here. That's sulfur deposits. See, coming up out of the earth.
Uh-huh.
And I think it was like mammoth something it was called. And look, here's a wrecked petrified tree that's in Yellowstone. That's a regular old petrified tree still standing. Look at the falls there. That's where they have the balanced rock.
Yeah.
Because they told us how many years that rock had been balanced there. You know, people had, first settlers saw it balanced there. But sometime that rock is going to fall. That boulder is going to fall. And it asked, you know, for you to guess when you think that boulder will ever fall. Remember we saw the forest fire when we were in Yellowstone?
Isn't that wonderful?
They had a tremendous forest fire, and that was the very beginning of it. You know, just you could still see the smoke was very small there. And it burned the whole time we were there and in the Grand Tetons. Now this, I think, is Yellowstone Falls.
Mm-hmm.
See the fire? You know, we kept stopping the car
Yeah.
and getting pictures as the fire got bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't, of course, the big one that destroyed most of the park year before last, but this was a pretty big one. It burned for about a week or two. Oh, do you remember when we stayed at Jackson Lodge? We saw those dancers.
Yeah.
The Grand Tetons and here the Indian dancers.
Isn't that beautiful?
There's the Grand Tetons.
Isn't that beautiful?
Uh-huh. Isn't that beautiful? And that's Lake Jackson out there.
Oh,
There.
I remember that well.
Yeah. We're in Jackson Hole.
Uh-huh.
And all four corners of the downtown square
Uh-huh.
was covered with these antlers. Got arches of
You
antlers.
see, Dad is there too.
Uh-huh. There's Bryson and Grandma and Grandpa, and look at Grandpa holding Meg's hand. Isn't that cute? And then Kathy and Deborah.
Oh, yeah.
Jackson Hole Aerial Tramway, Teton Village. Remember we went up to the top of one of the Tetons?
Oh, I'm so glad we went, Vicky.
See y'all down there?
Yeah.
See, you're in the very corner down there.
I'm so glad we went.
And this is from up at the top of one of the Tetons.
Isn't that beautiful?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that beautiful?
Remember we saw some real cowboys? And we also saw some eagles flying free here too. Okay, look what we're getting ready to do.
Oh,
you remember Daddy didn't do it, don't you remember?
Yeah.
But you and the 4 kids and I took a float trip on the Snake River.
Yeah.
And it was called a wildlife float trip because this time of year the water was too low to do any white water. So this was only a float trip to look at the animals.
Oh my, isn't that beautiful?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that beautiful?
Isn't that pretty? There's probably oh it is, see the eagle over there?
Yeah.
I didn't see it till just now, but there's the white head of the eagle right in the middle of the picture. Look at the moon.
Isn't that something?
And also there's an eagle on that tree.
Isn't
Halfway
that
up,
something?
most way up the bare part of the tree is an eagle.
Oh, that's good.
Look at Bryson.
Isn't that good?
And he's got the binoculars in his hands. See?
Isn't that good?
Uh-huh.
That's wonderful.
Isn't that neat? Remember, it was getting dark, you know, and that was the best time because the animals came out to graze at that time of day.
Yeah.
There he is taking it off of Meg now. That was our guide. That's where we stayed, at Jackson Lodge, up in the Grand Tetons. It's on Lake Jackson. Isn't that beautiful?
That's beautiful, honey. Perfectly beautiful. Perfectly beautiful.
Look at that sky. Weren't we lucky we had pretty sky while we were there?
Oh, yeah.
I think sky kind of makes a picture like that. If it was all gray or all blue, it wouldn't be anywhere near as pretty. I think this is the highest of the Grand Tetons.
Isn't that beautiful?
Still taking pictures of a forest fire way down in the Grand Tetons National Park, and that's up at Yellowstone. But you can see how much bigger the fire is now than when it started. We're leaving Grand Tetons now. This is the way to, we went back up to the Yellowstone, remember?
Yeah.
And we left by way of Yellowstone. This is leaving by way out of the east side of Yellowstone National Park. Like you were down in a canyon.
Isn't that something?
Buffalo Bill. Devil's Tower. First national monument. Theodore Roosevelt was responsible. Close encounters of the third kind. used this landmark in its movie. It's where the alien creatures are going to land. Devil's Tower, National Land. Deadwood, having a motorcycle convention. Panning for gold in Leadville. Lead. This was just along the side of the road. You could stop and take pictures here, and they had a place you could drop in a donation if you so wanted to. Shoeing a horse at the Circle B Ranch where we went for a chuck wagon supper in Keystone, South Dakota. Here we are at the chuck wagon supper. And there were the cowboys. Okay, here we are at Keystone, South Dakota. And here are the presidents. 4 presidents, and there's George Washington. This is Crazy Horse. A sculptor was building this out of the rock in the background there. This is Custa National State Park. Custa State Park. Saw a lot of buffalo here. This one walked right past our car. Custa State Park. I think this is the top of the Eye of the Needle. Real narrow passage that you had to drive through to get out. Eye of the Needle. This is the Badlands of South Dakota. Looked a lot like the Painted Desert. As you can tell, there's nothing much you can do with it. Cattle or grazing or farmland, so therefore they're called the Badlands. We had to spend the night in the Hotel Taft at Chamberlain, South Dakota. I had made reservations ahead of time, and then someone else had taken them, and there were no motels available, so we spent the night here. There's the bridge going over the Missouri at Chamberlain, South Dakota. This is in Mitchell, South Dakota, the Corn Palace. Made of corn. The outside. We're at the Air and Space Museum in Illinois. I think it was. It's a SAC base, an SAC base. Strategic Air Command. We went to the zoo at St. Louis. This was the aviary built there during their World's Fair. There's the arch in the state capitol at St. Louis. There's Grandma and Grandpa, the arch behind them. We went up in the very top of that arch in the elevator. This is at the bottom of the arch. They have a museum underneath the arch. This is a picture from the arch. There's the baseball stadium. View of Cincinnati, of St. Louis. There's the Mississippi River. There's a paddle wheel on the Mississippi. Ooh, that's standing underneath the arch, looking up. Quite an impressive sight. Here we are standing at the base of the arch. Oh, and there's the space shuttle being carried by its mama plane. We saw it flying overhead in St. Louis. There's the Mississippi River. And there we're headed home. Look at all the buffalo down here. We're in Custis National Park. right outside of Keystone. Custis National
Thank you.
Park.
Thank you, honey. This is wonderful.
Look at that.
Now,
That is the buffalo that came right up to the car and stuck his head in the window.
yeah, I remember
Oh
that.
no, he didn't stick his head on. He walked right straight in
Yeah,
front
I
of it. That's what
remember
it was.
that.
The donkey struck his head in the window. This buffalo came right in front of the car. I was
Uh-huh.
stopped.
I remember that.
Look at him.
Look at that.
Uh-huh. He kept getting closer and
Isn't that
closer.
something?
Yeah, he looked like he could turn the car over if he wanted to.
Look.
See, now he's going right the other side.
Uh-huh.
Scared us to death. And this is the one that stuck his head in the car.
Yeah.
Little donkey or something. The kids have on I Floated the Snake t-shirt, see?
That's good.
Little fork. Some interesting balanced rocks there. This is called the Eye of the Needle, remember?
Yeah.
Just a real narrow passage for one car to go through at a time. The Eye of the Needle. We're now in the Badlands of South Dakota.
Yeah.
They look a lot like the Painted Desert there,
Uh-huh.
don't they? But this is what they call the Badlands. And I guess they call it that because there's nothing much you can do with it. Not good for farming, it's not good for grazing. They're just bad lands, but they sure are pretty. That's the Hotel Taft where we spent the night, remember?
Yeah.
The Hotel Taft. I had made reservations, called ahead of time and gave him my number, and the motel let go of our reservation. And so we had to spend the night here. And remember Daddy joked and said he had to cut the toilet paper with a knife. It was old brown, stiff toilet paper. That's a bridge going across the White Missouri, I think.
There's one more little place there.
It's called a
Up
corn.
near it.
Yeah, that's a corn palace. We spent the night at Chamberlain, South
Yeah.
Dakota. That's where the
I
Hotel
love that.
Taft was. This was right outside the Chamberlain,
I love
South
that.
Dakota.
Look at that. Isn't that precious?
Isn't that? Look at my little prairie kids.
Isn't that darling?
Isn't that precious?
Isn't that cute?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I love that. Look at that. Isn't that precious?
That's adorable.
Oh, that's darling.
See Daddy there?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay, we're in
I'm so
Illinois,
glad Daddy was there.
touring a rocket space place.
I'm so glad Daddy was there.